It's horrible. That's me as a vampire. I'm so evil and skanky. And I think I'm kind of gay. Well, just remember, a vampire's personality has nothing to do with the person it was.
Well, actually, it's a good point.
If your friends are nerdy and you are nerdy too, I want to talk to you. Friends talking nerdy.
Let's speak of him.
Let's not.
Yeah, he had as much charisma and personality as my last bowel movement. I just did not like the guy.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
He was just this, Iowa corn-fed, I don't know.
But think about it like this, though. He somehow needs action for whatever reason, and he decides the best way to get that action is to have a vampire voluntarily suck his blood. And then he gets mad at Buffy for being mad at him for doing that, and then gives her an ultimatum of, you must forget what I did if we're to be together. The guy's a scumbag. I'm sorry.
Maybe that's a good, we're not supposed to like him, right? I hate Xander because he epitomizes man, and I'm not even sure if Riley is much different. Xander wishes that he was strong and held a gun. Riley actually is strong and holds a gun. He actually is the man, whereas Xander just wants to be that. I think it's okay that we don't have to like Riley, and it's you're never really going to overcome that love of Angel, so they just kind of have to move forward and move past that, and I guess that's Riley. Ugh.
Yeah, but I think also that season they had Buffy, what was the guy's name, Parker. She dated him for just a bit. They slept together once, and then, he told her that, it was just a thing. It wasn't that big of a deal, but then she has a bit of a meltdown, and I thought that was cliche as well. And then she jumps to Riley from there.
Parker. Why don't I remember Parker?
He was only on the one episode. It was just that one episode where they had that essentially one good date. She decides to sleep with him, and then that's it.
Well, this is early college for Buffy, right?
Yeah.
And this is somebody who is 18 years old, going off to college, doing stupid things in college, and doing stupid, reacting emotionally. The things that I don't like, I'm not supposed to like. And that's the thing that when I go back and rewatch the show, and I feel this frustration at the angst, and maybe I'm supposed to feel that way. And it's actually what warms me to Buffy, all the things I even don't like about it. Can I go back to season...
No, go ahead.
I wanted to say one last thing about season 3 in high school, because this is right at the end of high school, and the episode Earshot, which they ended up releasing that episode after the season finale of season 3, because it was a school shooting episode, where Buffy can essentially hear the voices of everybody. It starts to become overwhelming as she can essentially read the thoughts of everybody around her. And it starts out that she's only reading the thoughts of one person or another person, but then soon she hears everybody all at once. And this is, again, it's steeped in high school angst, the things that we hear. But it's just a really interesting and strangely dark episode that because it was the same year that the Columbine massacre happened, they essentially postponed the release of it until after the season finale. That's one of those great standalone episodes in season 3 as well. One of my favorites.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, that was... Yeah, I remember there was a whole timing thing. Yeah, wow, good memory.
I won't tell Morah that you have Wikipedia up. So.
Yeah, don't tell her. She doesn't need to know.
And another thing.
So the one thing we haven't mentioned so far was when... what was it? There was a whole thing with... Giles, they didn't think they didn't think that he was doing a good job and they spent Wesley.
Oh, the future Mr. Allison Hannigan.
Yeah. I think that's the only good thing that came out of it was that they, she met her husband. But, yeah, like that character, Wesley's character, like it really took me a long time to like him.
I did appreciate the character more in Angel than in Buffy. I think in Buffy he was just a stereotypical uptight British guy for the most part. He was able to become more in Angel, but it just he was just an annoyance in the show more than anything.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's why it's like on Buffy I did not care for him at all. And like the way, I don't know, it was just like the way they went about it and everything. But like the one thing that I kind of liked, and I think this was towards the end of the series, was that where they somehow managed to, I forgot who the main bad guy was at the end of it, but didn't they like do a spell or something in order to like call all the Slayers, like rather than waiting for them to die and then then the next one appears.
Yeah,
they were able to manage to get all the Slayers
Yep, season 7, the big bad was the first.
And the first took many forms, so we ended up seeing Glory again and Drusilla and a lot of the other big bads.
I hated Glory.
Yeah, Glory missed out on effective camp like the mayor had. Same kind of comedic sense without it ever landing as far as big bads went.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, hey, what if Cordelia was bad? I mean, that's essentially what that was. Just the stereotypical, like, oh my god, I broke a nail type of a character, and I didn't care for it.
No, but since she was sharing a body with like a brother of the guy or something.
Ben, yeah.
Ben.
I never quite understood that. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. I don't.
When she was,
about that.
Yeah, when she was Ben, she didn't know she was Glory. When she was Glory, I think Glory was the only one who knew that of the switch, but Ben didn't at first.
Yeah.
No, he kind of did. Remember, like at one point, I think like he was warning, like Dawn. I think was like about Dawn saw the change or something, and she was talking to Ben, and then it's like all of a sudden he's like, she's coming.
Oh, like, that's right. That's right.
Like, what are you talking about? But then, like, there was like a spell that went along with it, so whoever actually sees the transformation forgot that they were the same person. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a little bit later. Yeah, when they were at the hospital. I think that might have been the same episode where Buffy's mother died.
No, I don't think that was the same episode where the mother died, because...
Or close to it.
The mother... They found the mother at home dead, like she just died of natural causes.
Right.
They weren't in the hospital for that. That was something else.
Well, the body did end up going to the hospital. They were at the hospital at the end of it because Dawn wanted to sneak into like the morgue part to see the body at that point.
Oh, okay.
Even though Glory was not a great big bad, it did culminate in one of the very best finales, though. Like the end of season 5 was really great, heavy. It would have been a wonderful, wonderful way to end the series if it wasn't for the fact that the next 2 seasons have like a solid 10 magical episodes that I would go through another 30 seasons of Buffy for some of the episodes that came after season 5. Some of those just stand alone, but
yeah, I did hate the way. Was that the one where like they ended it where she like dives off into the?
Yeah, she sacrifices herself. We think that Dawn's going to have to die, but Buffy sacrifices herself instead. Oh, spoilers for those of you who don't know.
I don't care.
I have to say, the one thing that I did love, like when they brought it back, the way I love the storyline where it's like Buffy had a hard time adapting because, like, and she sings it in the song where it's like she thought she was in heaven. She was finally at peace, and then, you know, they brought her back. It's like, oh my God, that song was so gut-wrenching. Because it's like she couldn't, you know, for her to finally sing and to tell them where it's like, you brought me back and now I'm living in hell. It's like, oh my God.
And the fact that she introduces that by song, and the fact that you see Willow in the background, just her face contort in this like agony of realizing what she's done in bringing Buffy back. So great.
I know, right? Good stuff. Good stuff, Josh Whedon.
And that does kind of go into what you spoke about earlier about using magic as a metaphor for addiction, which just made no sense because from day one on the show, they utilize magic a lot. And then to suddenly have the whole idea of magic is somehow similar to alcohol or drugs or whatever. I mean, for that one episode, I guess fine, but it just, why hint that all magic could potentially lead you down a bad path? And I don't know. I just didn't care for that logic.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. It was a little ham-handed.
Yeah. But now just...
But that's what I'm saying. It's like they develop it. It's like all of a sudden it's like they turn things around where it's like, but that's not what we did in the first couple of episodes, you know, in the first couple of seasons. Why is it all of a sudden changing now? Because now you want it to mean this. Yeah. Right.
Now, one thing we haven't talked about season 4, that is the initiative and the creature they make. Adam, what were your thoughts?
The worst. The worst. The worst big bad, right? The worst in the master.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wasn't a fan of it. That whole thing. Like, that was when she was in college, right? With Riley?
First year of college, yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't care for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I still Buffy. I still loved it. But was it... No, it's just, I think, one of, like, my least favorite storyline.
It's certainly the worst season, but Hush came out of that season. Sorry, I know this is not specifically about the big bad,
right?
But Hush came out of season 4. That was the episode when, at the very end of it, Riley and Buffy realize who each other are as their alter egos, but it's the silent episode where all their voices are taken away, and so the whole episode is in silence pretty much. It's just another one of those just like really amazing feat that episode was able to be made in the first place and done so perfectly with the creepy what were they called, the bad guys and the gentlemen that kind of floated along in the air, kind of like in Dark City, the monsters in Dark City. But that was a stellar episode out of season 4, out of a trash season with a trash big bad in Adam, who had no personality. He was just a created college student robot mashed together with superpowers.
He was the Borg of the Buffy universe.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, too, about those, you said they were watchers from Hush?
The Gentlemen.
The Gentlemen. Stephen Moffat stole that idea when he created the silence for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but like when those, I remember those being big when they came out. Like they were really well done. Mm-hmm. Being really freaking scary. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, Tim, for the Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Smith's first year on the show.
Well, it was, I mean, they were a great, looking, scary creature. But yeah. Great
visual, yeah.
And hard to make an episode in silence, though. That like is as captivating and interesting as that for the full hour. It was a feat of showmaking.
Yep. And now with season 6, the trio and Dark Willow are the big bads. For me, I think the best episode has to be the episode where Xander leaves Anya at the altar. Just her reaction at the end, because during that episode they had there was a big fight or something going on. There was a demon that was tricking Xander into thinking he was in the future, and where he somehow attempted to, or maybe killed Anya as they were older. But then they defeat that demon, and just Anya's pleading with them, don't leave. We defeated the demon. All's better now. All's better now. But then Xander ended up leaving, and she lost it, and I felt horrible.
Boy, oh boy, dude.
Now I'm sad.
That was a hard episode, and honestly, I forgot about this for a second, but the episode right after that was so interesting, where Buffy is made to believe that she is just a crazy person in an institution, and that everything that's been happening this entire time is just a figment of her crazy imagination. Like, that was really, like, it definitely, I don't know if I can describe the way that it made me feel at the time, but it was certainly one of those things that it made me feel for Buffy in a completely different way. It's the feeling of being an outsider or other, but then this whole idea that otherness, that outsiderness, is just a figment, a creation of your own. Like, oh boy, that was a hard episode to watch for me. Lots of
It was so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the thing like I always loved, and it's like kind of the same thing like with Supernatural, where there are some episodes where it's like they were just so much fun and like so enjoyable, and then there were others where it's like they just made you cry.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm making Morah sad.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Because I like watching the episode. I always prefer the episodes where it's like, they were scary and fun and, had you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. I know Ash versus the Evil Dead in season 2 kind of did a play off the episode you just mentioned, to where Ash, the hero played by Bruce Campbell, wakes up and he's in an insane asylum, and he's made to believe that the events from the first 3 Evil Dead movies didn't happen, and that he's just a regular old murderer. And the end of the episode, he escapes and whatnot, but it kind of hit on some of those same things of making you question what reality is. And there was a puppet that he had a fight with as well. Good show.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons are on Netflix. Season 3, I think, is on Starz right now.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I did start watching it, and I never finished the first season, but like everybody I know who watches it loves that series too.
Oh, I love it too. I think I mentioned it on a previous episode, but the attention to detail, because the story is set in Michigan, and the little things that only people from Michigan will notice are amazing, like the Faygo soda machine, the old Tigers, bullpen, whatever, Tigers memorabilia everywhere, just little things they did, and the fact that they called soda pop, I loved that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Funny.
All right, so we've spoken enough about season 6. Season 7, where it all ended, where the Hellmouth finally swallowed up the town of Sunnydale, and we ended up with a bunch of watchers, including one Miss Felicia Day. What did you think about season 7?
I don't remember it. I don't.
Thanks for preparing.
What reminded me season 7? I don't remember. Sorry, guys. Not just like I'm just saying that like my head is really fun, so really kill me. But
no worries. That's
so I might have to bail soon. But remind me.
Yeah, that's the first, and where Caleb from Nathan Fillion shows up. and they're looking to essentially defeat all the Slayers once and for all. But that's where Buffy finds that special Slayer tool, imparts the Slayer power on anybody that could have had that potential, and then with that army, finally defeats the first. And then the last episode, when that's where Spike is wearing a jewel or a crystal of some sort, and then that crystal allows him to defeat all the vampires, but then he's left for dead. But then that's the one where Buffy tells him, "I love you," and he goes, "No, you don't, but thanks for saying it."
Aww. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Spikes, it's Joss Whedon, when talking about a show Firefly, said that if that show had lasted more than one season, Spike would have been on it.
Interesting. That's too bad.
Yeah, so that would have been a way to link his two most popular series. But anyway, now we talked about bits of the bullet points from all the seasons. I would have to ask, and whoever answers first, answer, what do you think is the cultural impact of the show?
Oh my God. Jason, you answer this.
Well, I think that, I don't know, this happened, the show was on during a very specific time in my childhood and like coming into adulthood. So I feel like the cultural impact is more personal to me than it is broadly, but like Joss Whedon has always done a great job of representing powerful women, and I wanted to ask: is there Slayer lore prior to Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Is this a product of Joss Whedon's imagination of having young women kill vampires?
No, let me back up a few here, but he had the idea of a character by the name of Rhonda, and I'm trying to go back.
Rhonda the Vampire Slayer?
No, it wasn't the Vampire Slayer. It was Rhonda the Immortal Waitress.
Like Buffy's any better? Seriously?
Yeah, Rhonda the Immortal Waitress. That was his initial idea, and that was just the whole point of Buffy was essentially he wanted to take the character that normally is the victim and make her the hero.
But that is brilliant, right? And like, if there's not a bigger cultural impact that this show had, it is that. And so the representation of women, we still struggle to have good women heroes to own television shows or movies or whatever it might be. And Buffy is still that strong woman. Well, what's so great about that show is the fact that she's able to be that hero while still being like steeped in the angst of being a teenager and early into adulthood. Like, they don't shy away from having those moments there. And like, what I keep expressing about the men in the show that I hate, I think that like a lot of the ways that it represents gender was something that was different than what we've seen before on television. A lot of the ways that it represents gayness is something that is different than what it was before. Even prior to having gay characters on the show, the idea of being that other person, of not fitting in, and potentially not sharing the reason with the public of the reason why you don't fit in, like, in late 90s, early 2000s, that's not necessarily something that was common in TV series. And so, I don't know, I feel like that was definitely the impact that it had on me. And my family, the Jehovah's Witness family, as we go through Willow's coming of age story, where she does become a lesbian, I know you guys, and I do as well, like, struggle with is that realistic? Like, let's make it natural to the character. But boy, were they offended by the way that Willow became a lesbian. And like, there's so many different great ways that show broke ground and pissed off a lot of the right people, and kind of changed what the expectations are for main characters in a show. Not very, very like background supporting characters, but one of the main characters in the show.
And I would say with the Willow and Tara's relationship, too, I mean, this was also around the time of Ellen DeGeneres with her show and her coming out first. If you put those two shows together, honestly, the more realistic portrayal of a couple, to me, Willow and Tara.
Yeah,
there was a lot more honesty to that, and that's not knocking Ellen DeGeneres, because she made one hell of a personal sacrifice doing that, and is just now at the point where she's getting appreciation for the brave step that she took. But she also had a shitty sitcom, and it wasn't very good. And the only reason people still remember it is about the episode that she came out. If that episode never happened, that would be on the ash heaps of television history. Whereas Willow and Tara, there was truth to that, and that's what I liked about that relationship. And no, was it perfect? To your point earlier, Morah, no. I mean, they could have planted some seeds along the way if that is where they were going. So I do agree that it probably was just a whole, hey, let's make Willow gay, and go from there type of deal. But I still think there was an honesty to that relationship that was needed at that time, which did help with future writers, future entertainers in how they present.
Well, here's the thing: like once that relationship came about, it was real, and it's something. I thought that was well done, and even in the musical episode where Tara singing that song to Willow, which is funny, that was like actually a big thing, because a lot of people, I remember there being like, there was like a line in there where it was like, there was like a double entendre.
Yes, you watched her have an orgasm. Totally.
Yeah. It's like, so I thought that was very interesting. And then also I love the way they took the same song, like once Tara found out that, Willow's been using magic on her to help her forget. And then she felt betrayed, and the same song she just sang about her love for Willow and how, like, she brought her out into this new world. She never, thought that she could be loved. She thought she was in the shadows and all that. And now it's like the same exact song. She's now singing how she's betrayed. And she's like, how could you do this? I mean, it's just so beautiful. And it was, there's definitely something real in with the relationship. And I love that. I just wish, getting to that point of why she decided all of a sudden to, decide she's a lesbian, because it really came down to that, the whole thing where she just didn't want to, the whole thing was odd. And like I said, could that be realistic? Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories and I've heard songs about girls who got fed up with men and decided to go on the other team. Do I know anybody like that? No, I actually know a girl who was always dating guys, and she met this girl and she fell in love with the girl. And they got into a relationship, but she doesn't consider herself a lesbian. It's more of she just fell in love with this girl. So, like, that I can understand if I actually knew somebody like that. But again, doesn't mean, like, not to say it doesn't happen. I just feel like at the time, when the way they went about it and the fact that it was the in thing to do, wasn't thrilled with that. But once it got there, and once they had Tara and the way it developed, I thought that was well done.
And speaking on the double entendres, I did love that every now and then you would have Willow, make a little remark, like about, I forgot the specifics, but it's just something along the lines of, and later we'll take off your clothes, or just something just you didn't expect it coming from Willow. But that's the beauty of what Alison Hannigan can provide as an actress. I mean, You take American Pie with the whole flute scene. When she's saying it, it's.
And one time, I banged her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the delivery that she has, and that's another thing about one other thing I forgot to mention. Seth Green, Allison Hannigan, they would actually work together before on My Stepmother's an Alien as kid actors.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I think at this point we have covered a lot about Buffy, and I think let's call it a day.
Sounds good. Thanks for the invitation.
No problem. Well, I mean, you're the one who asked, so I'm like, hey, let's yeah. So
let me invite myself.
Good call.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to hear just him talking all day. Gosh, he sucks. Let's do something else. Let's get me on the show. But anyway, thank you all for listening. Remember to subscribe via your favorite podcasting service. And I've been bad about not getting the YouTube videos out, but I do swear, I promise they will come out again at some point for the older episodes. But anyway, my name's Tim Jousma.
Oh, I'm Jason.
And I'm Morah.
And we thank you all for listening. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm eating this now. It's not lunchtime. I don't even care.
See, I told you. Old Reliable.
Old Reliable? Yeah, great. There's a sexy nickname.
The geyser. You're like a geyser of fun that goes off at regular intervals.
That's Old Faithful.
Isn't that the dog that the guy had to shoot?
That's Old Yeller.
Xander, I beg you not to help me.
Maybe I'll change my look. Or cut class. You don't know. And I'm eating this banana. Lunchtime be damned.
Well, wait. I'm really sorry.
I'm storming off. It doesn't really work if you come with me.